Let's discuss all of that with Nadia Massi now from our International Affairs Desk. And Nadia, first of all, how credible is that claim by ISIS?
I think pretty credible, Laura. You know, at the time that the attack took place over a month ago, the French President Emmanuel Macron said this looked like terrorism. French prosecutors who were investigating what happened said this looked like a premeditated attack targeting Westerners. Around the same time, Al-Qaeda, one of the other groups in the region that could be thought of as being responsible for this kind of attack, distanced themselves very quickly. Now we have them coming out a month later claiming responsibility. So I think we can say pretty clearly this is probably an attack carried out by the Islamic State group. Now, as to the question of does this suggest a kind of change in strategy by ISIS? Well, I think it's actually probably kind of like a revert to form by the Islamic State group. You know, they are perhaps best known for their actions in Syria and Iraq, for that caliphate, for trying to control and hold territory to kind of administer and run their own version of a state. But actually, this is classic ISIS behavior, these kind of bold, surprising attacks, often but not always targeting Westerners, something that's designed to destabilize a region, capture the news cycle for a day. And there are many analysts who for several years now have been saying this part of West Africa, the Sahel, is the new battleground between Islamist militants and the West. And I think this attack in Niger sort of gives greater evidence to the argument that that may be happening.
And why is that, Nadia? Tell us a bit about the situation in the Sahel. Why is it that ISIS are really focusing their efforts in this part of the world right now?
Well, it's not just ISIS. It's ISIS and a myriad of jihadist groups who are really sort of exploiting very legitimate local grievances in this region. Let's bring up that map for you where you can have a look at the precise area that we're talking about. Primarily, these are the border regions between Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso. And we are talking about a region where poverty is endemic, where there is very little food stability. By that I mean there are people there who don't know where their next meal will come from, people who've been forced to move to different areas in part because of climate change. We've seen some 4.5 million people in those areas being forced to move because of tribal violence, because of food insecurity in the past couple of years. And these are, of course, all issues that can be exploited by jihadist groups, by the Islamic State, the states, Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso. The governments themselves have very little influence, very little reach in those regions. So you've seen jihadist groups sort of, you know, doing some state services, providing some basic functions in return for loyalty to these jihadist groups. And that's a real concern for the West. That's why you have French forces in the region. They've been in there since 2013. But, you know, they've actually really struggled to improve the stability in that part of the world. We've actually seen it become more unstable, more unsafe in the past couple of years. But I do think despite all of that, French forces are probably going to stay put. They want to stay there because they're afraid that if there's even more instability, more people from that part of the world will try to come to Europe, and that's something that the French certainly want to try and avoid.
Nadia, thank you very much indeed. Nadia Massi there.